Hey, what's up, guys? Back with another game here, a couple games here today. And today we're going to be finishing off the Russian light tank showcase. And we're going to be looking at the T100LT, which is the tier 10. Now, this is probably my second favorite tier 10 light, and it's just behind the Sheridan. And that's just because of the maneuverability of it. The thing is fantastic. It's basically, I call it basically, it's the Russian hover tank. Now, the Russian medium's like that too, but this thing takes it to another level in the fact that it just glides across the ground basically and what it feels like. Plus, it has some kind of troll armor to it. It's not anything, it's not like T-54 lightweight levels of armor, but it can get you bounces on the rare occasion. Especially when you're moving at these speeds. You're moving so fast sometimes that people will aim and the shots will go behind you. Like, they'll be aiming and you'll drive underneath the shot. Like, it's over top of the shot, basically. And you see, I do the same thing as I always do on this map. And I'm able to put an early shot of damage in. The main purpose of this game is so I can just have something to talk over. Little mistake here. I'm still spotted, and I should have realized that something's actually aiming at me. And their Scorpion G is able to put a really good shot into me, so well played on his part. And we're able to dodge back and see a couple more APCR rounds coming through, and I believe that's the EVP. But really the point of this is just to talk over this tank a little bit. Now, the gun on this is 100mm, I believe. Yes. With about 230 pen, which is pretty good. It's not great. And the premium rounds are AP, which is a little different. So the standard rounds are the APCR, and the premium rounds are AP. And so those AP rounds have 248 pen, which is only 18 millimeters. So that's why I'm only carrying 10 of them, because in my opinion they're just not really worth it in most occasions. There's a few specific tanks you may have to use them for, but for the most part, they're not really worth to carry that many of, at least in my opinion. I prefer the APCR rounds. Now, if you prefer AP rounds, I guess you could go for that too. It just depends what kind of ammo you like, but there's really not much of a difference, I find, between them. And I don't carry any high explosive rounds in this tank. Again, it only has 43 rounds in it with 300 alpha. So you really kind of go through ammo pretty quickly if you find yourself in a long engagement. And I've had several games where I've just lost because I ran out of ammo. I could have won them, but I just lost because I only had like maybe a few shells left or whatnot. And you see, this gun is pretty, at least for me, consistent in the fact that, especially on the move, it tends to hit. The accuracy says .46. That to me seems like a bunch of crap. Granted, you're not going to be shooting at like weak spots at 150, 200 plus meters or whatever. But for the most part, when you even RBRT or you just aim at something, you're generally, it hits. I don't know what it is, just the way this gun behaves, but it generally hits the target if you aim at it. I mean, at least from me personally. Maybe my crew, this crew is about 12 perks or so strong, so just take that into consideration when I'm saying these things. Just a good warning for all of my light tank videos, just to keep that in mind, is my crews are usually 10 perks plus, ranging all the way up to 19 perks, so just keep that in mind, I guess. Like I said, the engine power of this is about 720. There's invisible walls on train tracks that are there to prevent you from, you know, having some fun. But the armor on it's talking to that a little bit. I think it has about 80 millimeters on the front. I could be wrong on that. I don't have that up at the moment, but the turret armor is 180 millimeters in the front, and then 40 and 40 on the side and rear. Now the view range is only 390 base, which isn't the best. It's not the greatest. So again, you gotta kind of train your crew up to get that max view range a little bit. And you see with the mobility of this thing, we can relocate from one side of the map to the other in an instant. And it's something I really like about this tank, is you're not pinned down in one location for very long. Especially, I mean, even for a light tank, you're going to be over there in just a few seconds, it almost feels like. So you're not going to waste time going up long hills or anything. This thing does not really lose much speed. So as far as how I'd like to set it up, so equipment-wise is optics, rammer, and vert stabs, which is pretty much my basic light tank loadout, or medium tank loadout, really. I mean, that's about the loadout I've run on 90% of my tanks. There's a few base autoloaders and stuff like that where you don't have rammer, but that's really my bread and butter. And consumables, usual. I really should have large repair kit, large med kit, and rations. Fire's not a huge issue in this thing, I find. Again, I don't usually find myself getting shot in the rear in this tank just because you move so quickly that it just doesn't happen much. They're not going to catch you, I think, at least. So, let me look at the armor real quick. I can give you the rundown on that, I guess. So yeah, it has about, I was right, 80 millimeters on the front and like 40 on the sides, which isn't the best. But at that angle, like I said, there can some weird bounces and stuff. And it's just a really good tank for active scouting. And you can tell just by the mobility of it. The camo on it's pretty good too, just because it's very low profile. It's not a very big tank. So also in engagement like this, it's very hard for them to hit you because you're so maneuverable. Unfortunately, we weren't able to land any shots in that engagement just because you're moving so fast. It is also very hard to hit another light tank in this thing. It requires some patience and just some practice, really. But fortunately for us, our much more accurate artillery piece with laser guided precision is able to take him out. So my goal here now is kind of to eliminate their vision. That's either LTDB. He's been having a pretty good game, about 3K assisted I think he had this game. Again, I just played this one, so I'm fairly fresh in my memory. But my goal really here was just to take out their vision and then kind of push down the right side over there. Because over there they only have a Scorpion and then Type 4 Heavy. So really, what I was saying at this point was just kind of to push Type 4 once his Scorpion dies, and unfortunately he does get taken down. But you see the LTDB is still kind of chilling down there, and I saw the TDP go back in the corner as well. And they still have several tanks in under the railroad tracks as well. So we're just kind of buying our time, waiting for an opportunity to come in and take the tanks out. Now, something to note about this thing compared to the tanks that were previous to it, like the LTTB and T54 lightweight, is that why it's really good at stuff like that, where you can just dip in real quick and then just run and dodge all the shots like that. Again, not a recommended play. I don't recommend it to most people, I would say. But a word of warning is don't ram other tanks in this thing. You may be thinking for the lightweight and the LTTB that this thing would be good at ramming too, and you could even look at the armor and you'd be like, okay, maybe it's pretty good at it. Because it's got 180 millimeters on the turret and 80 on the upper plate. And that would be a giant mistake. This thing does not have any ramming ability, basically. Unless it's another T100LT and he's like on very low health, I don't recommend ramming anything in this thing ever. It's just not recommended, and it's just going to end up costing you several hundred hit points and probably track yourself, and you're going to end up dying. Which you really don't want to be, obviously, tracked in this thing. You really want to be on the move almost constantly, I find. Very rarely do I sit still. It's only for occasions like that where I can get the drop on people. But like I said, this thing's an excellent, excellent active scout. Also because of the low profile of the tank. You're able to just skirt ridge lines just barely and just barely peek over. So you don't provide that much of a side-on profile target. So it's really good for that, and it excels on maps like this, on like Proc. Most light tanks do, but here you can really play that ridgeline game really well and not really have to worry about getting shot in return for it. So overall, it's a really fun tank. I highly recommend this thing if you're looking for a tier 10 light tank to get. It's your first one. I would either recommend getting this or the Sheridan. One of those two I'd definitely recommend. Like I said, it's about my second favorite one. And, yeah. And you can kind of see why. I mean, it plays the same kind of style as the other two, minus the ramming ability and all that. But I like the gun of it too, because it doesn't require as much input from my part, because of that accuracy I was talking about earlier, that on-the-move accuracy. Just, it's easier input. And the aiming time on it is also pretty good, I forgot to mention. It's only about 2 seconds, which is very good for it as well. Now here, I'm just going to try to get one more shot into this guy. And we're able to get one more shot. And he's going to get taken out in a hot minute right here. Trying to the right use of that, but he's going to get taken out by 57 Heavy. Somehow has a shot on him from, yeah, okay, that makes sense actually. And then we're going to make our way over here and hopefully finish off the arty. And I basically kind of guessed this, that he'd be moving. And like I said, I barely have to aim with this gun. It just seems like it always hits. And it's just kind of a trait of it, I guess. But like I said, you can kind of run out of ammo quick because it fires 7.69 rounds a minute, and you only have 43 rounds, so you just got to make them count. I don't recommend wasting a lot of ammo in this thing, because again, it could come back and bite you later on. So overall, the next game is going to be more on the gameplay. I hope that kind of covers how I like to play the tank and gives you a good idea of what I like to do and how I like to set this up and how I like to play it in an overall style. And I think that was a good gameplay to kind of show that it's good at repositioning, it's good at that active scout role, and it's pretty good at that ambush kind of predatory, sounds kind of weird, that ambush mode too. But we're going to go on a different kind of level gameplay wise with this one. This is going to be one of those crazy good games. I've been saving this one for about a month. Just because I knew I was going to do this series and I wanted to have this game for the T100LT. And it comes on a map that you really wouldn't expect a really good game on, I think, at least in this tank. This tank really excels on those wide open maps like Proc, Steps, Muravanka, Westfield, stuff like that. Just because it doesn't have much gun depression either. I mean, it's Russian. The whole line, you don't have much gun depression. And it really relies on that mobility to be effective. So, it's better in those types of situations rather than maps like Cliff, where you can still do good in a light tank. And we're going to do that, and we're going to make myself shut up right now, basically. Make me eat my own words. And, you'd rather have something like, possibly like a Sheridan, or even the Chinese tier 10 when it was better, and not the shell that it is nowadays, just because the guns hit harder and they're more suited to that ridgeline fighting, I guess. They can fight more face to face or in a way like that. But we're gonna have to make this work in the T100LT. I usually like to spot this bush just because sometimes arty will shoot them crossing up, but unfortunately we get spotted right away. I personally don't like going up the hill from this spawn, and I don't like going up the hill in this tank because really, without the gun depression, I'm not going to be much of help. And also from this spawn, when you go up the hill, you really expose yourself, the rear of your tank and the side of your tank going up, versus the other spawn where you get very minimal exposure time to enemy guns. But this side, it's very risky, especially if they're good players on the enemy team. They're going to pre-aim the spot for the light tanks in the beginning. I know I do. So just a word of warning that going up here, all the way up to the top of the hill from this spawn is very risky. Unfortunately now I see these 140s kind of just pushing, and I'm trying to avoid the teammates. I say that all in the past minute, and then I go up the hill. But the only reason I do that really is because I see that it's pretty much safe or that nobody's firing up there. You see some tanks get spotted, but they're all the way in their base, and the fact I really doubt they're going to pay attention. So I don't like charging right up there right away, because you never know what's going to be pre-aimed there. You could have a Death Star pre-aimed at the crossing and find yourself getting one-shot in the beginning of the game, which is no fun. And not good for your team, obviously. You know, here, I don't really go up first because it just doesn't make sense, but we're going to go up now and get some side shots into these guys, and they're going to dip off the hill now. Now, this is kind of risky. We could slide off. We could take shots from the base. I don't know why I do this. Yeah, like, this is, like I said, it's about a month old for me. And it's first time watching this in a while. So this was very risky that I didn't take any damage there, because physics is a very fickle monster that can ruin your day in an instant. And I know all too well about that with how many light tanks I play. The amount of times I've been killed by physics, either by my own stupid fault doing stupid things, or just randomly going over a little bump and then dying. I don't know. Or flipping over. It's just too many to count. You see they're capping now, so I'm going to go in from the rear and see if I can get them distracted. Hopefully our heavies go around the other side so we can create kind of a crossfire. You see me struggling with the gun depression a little bit here. Gets a little awkward. Unfortunately, their 50 TP is facing this way, so we do take a shot, but it's kind of had to at that point. So now I see this IS-3 is getting pushed by the mouse, so we're going to try to go help this guy. The mouse is actually kind of separated from the other two heavies, so it's a good opportunity to get him out. And we're going to rely on some old school ELC AMX tactics. And we're going to hug right next to this guy, and he's not going to be able to shoot us. At least hopefully, that's the goal. That's another benefit of this tank, especially nowadays, is that it's so low profile, and there's the troll armor for you, that you can kind of do that troll little ELC trick that you used to do on the like tier 6, tier 7 Japanese heavy tanks, and you can do it on the tier 10s with this one, if you get the opportunity to find them separated. Now I'm going to try to help the Super Conk, I guess. I don't know, he's not really paying attention to me. But now the 60 DP is paying attention to me. That's just an issue. We're going to get behind this rock, use it as cover, and our little IS-3 friend is coming along, and he is giving no shits. Because Soviet Russia does not care. We will take down the Polish tier 10 heavy together. So shout out to that guy. That's, I don't know. Not something I would ever do, I don't think, but maybe I'm wrong. So now we're going to try to push and kind of work with this. I think that's the Leo one. And get side shots into these guys while they're pushing up on the hill. I really want to get the Death Star out just because that's the big RNG boomstick, and that would really help. And it's important for shot placement on that tank, because on the Death Star, if you aim in the front side, I guess, where I shot at, you're always going to do damage to the fuel tanks, basically, or even set it on fire. Now here, I get a little, I guess, cheeky. I'm going to use British term from those I've been playing with, and try to get the shot on the E5's lower plate, but it just doesn't quite come off. Right now, we're down, 3 tanks to their, So this is just about getting guns off the board, and I want to start getting these guys out over here because they're kind of separated from the other tanks on their team, who are kind of still chilling in the base. So at this point, this E5's trying to run, and I really want to make sure he does not get away. Unfortunately, we bounce off of him. I can't tell if he was facing this way or not. Either way, it's not that uncommon to bounce off the rear of an E5. And unfortunately, our IS-3 buddy gets taken down. So now it's just me and the Leo 1 against 4 enemy tanks, and they got a platoon also. So we're going to have to use some teamwork here by running into some rocks. And we try to use the cover of the bushes to make sure this guy doesn't spot us. Now, it's kind of an issue here because all we can see is his like gun mantlet side of his tank, so it's gonna be hard to put shots into him. So I kind of got to reposition. If I remember correctly, the gun does kind of troll me here a little bit, and unfortunately we get spotted. It's not ideal. So we're kind of trapped here, kind of a sitting duck. It's not really what I want. I'm trying to see if the Leo 1 can get shot. See, I know he's on 5 kills, so I know what he's got. He's got to know what he's doing to an extent. And I see the E3 pop out. We did a little bit of error. Glad we didn't get stuck on the rock. But now that I see that E3, I'm like, I have to get out of here. I gotta take the risk. And we gotta retreat. And I kind of bluffed that I'm going all the way around. Hopefully, maybe that'll turn them around, but I doubt it. But we got to stay on this side of the map because I don't want to risk getting caught out alone or leaving the Leo 1 hung out to dry. At this point in the game, we got to work as a team. Unfortunately, our gun does not think we have to work as a team. So unfortunately, we don't kill this guy. The Leo 1 does, but hey, good for him. He's got 6 kills now. So that's his top gun. So we haven't really killed much in the on this game, but we've done a lot of damage for this tank in this matchup. Now you see why earlier I mentioned that you really don't want to waste a lot of rounds in this tank. You see we've only done about 5,000 damage. Only, I say. And we only have 15 shells left at this point, with 6 APCR and 9 of the AP rounds. And there's a full health E3 left on their team. And at this point, I didn't really know what the Tusk was on. I was really hoping he wasn't on that much health. And I see the E3 is going down from his position in the middle, and I'm hoping I can maybe get a side shot into him. But we're kind of struggling with the gun depression right now. And I don't see an easy shot on him, and like I said, I don't want to waste any ammo. Our Leo 1 is able to take out the Centurion 7-1. Unfortunately, the shot doesn't come off on the E3 though. It's kind of unfortunate. Again, we need these rounds to hit. And this one bounces off his ass. Again, RNG, it's great. But you live and die by it, really. And you see our Leo 1's taking a few hits. I think maybe the Tusk may have penned him, or I don't know. He was on full health last I checked, and now he's on about 700. And we see the E3 is now in the cap circle along with the Tusk. And these two are in a platoon, so they have voice communication. And I kind of have to take that into account. So I'm going to guess that at least they're going to be looking each direction on the top of the cliff. So at this point, I kind of make a kind of gutsy play. I could have probably gone further around and not got spotted. And here I run into buildings because I'm a scrub. But my kind of thinking at this point was I can either maybe get some side shots into these guys, but unfortunately the E3, like I said, is looking right this way. And with the 230 pen on these rounds, you're not going to pen the front of the E3 at that range, like, basically ever. Unless you get extremely lucky. And you see the timer's starting to run down to 35 seconds. So we're going to go to the third option, and we're going to kind of take a risky play here. I'm betting that they're going to be looking on the approaches on the donut, which is where the cap circle is. Thanks, competitive play, for the call-outs. But only 15 seconds left. I kind of have to force my hand. I have to make an aggressive play. I kind of still do it. And I decided to target the Tusk. And the reason for that is I feel like he's going to be the biggest threat. And I think they capped. I don't know what happened here. Unfortunately, we missed the Tusk and hit the E3. But it's still damage. But I don't know what happened here. I think they just thought that we capped out. The Tusk dives down, so I'm not really worried about him at this point. He separated his E3 buddy. So I'm just gonna basically track this guy in place and hopefully keep him tracked. So hopefully the reload is enough. And unfortunately he has a good enough repair speed, but my aim's good enough to where I'm not too worried about it, and I'm really never gonna fumble this situation. I shouldn't, at least. And we're able to just tear into this guy for his entire hit point pool, which is a beautiful thing. So now all we have to do is get the Tusk. There's still a chance we could throw this game. We're both technically one-shots for him. So you gotta be kind of careful, but I know he's only on about 100 health or so. So I'm not too worried about it at this point. But I'm still a little cautious here. But sure enough, there he is. And we're able to take him down with a simple lead shot on him. And you'll see we're able to rack up over 7,300 damage and 1,200 assists as well. I think that was on the 60 TP, I believe. I could be wrong. But you see, we have a heck of a game here, a heck of a result. Shout out to the Leopard 1. He actually messaged me after the game. He's like, I thought I had a good game. And if he saw the scoreboard with mine, he was a little surprised. But it was a really good game. Some good teamwork at the end, even though we weren't actually talking or communicating. But overall, have a good day.